One of the things that I realized while I was going through my spiritual awakening, and spiritual awakenings, they are going to be ongoing. It doesn't stop with just us awakening. It just continues to, you keep having more and more and more and more and more. It never ends. So the more that I awaken, the more that is revealed. But when I was detaching from the programming, right? When I was detaching from the programming and I was coming to a realization that a lot of the things that I operated from were not things that belonged to me. There was a load that I had to drop off. There were people that I had to let go of. There were beliefs that I didn't want to affiliate with anymore and that didn't serve me. And I needed to let them go. And a lot of the things that I was operating from were rooted on experiences that I had, such as betrayals, wounds that I had, right? So, which is why it's important that we heal. When we're healing, when we heal, we're able to dismantle that and create a new belief system, create new things that we operate from. But as I was healing and I was detaching and choosing not to pass judgment and forgiving it all, after I was stripped of all of that, I was still wearing a mask, right? Because I truly was never my authentic self. And how could I have been if I was operating from things that were installed into me, on things that I thought I needed, but I really didn't need because I survived without them, right? So I come here and say this because in order for us to live and vibrate at a point of authenticity, we have to strip ourselves of that mask. The mask that society norms tells us to wear, the belief systems that were installed onto us tell us that we need to wear, what political systems say, what religions say, what our family says, right? I had to really come to terms with who I was without all of that. And so for me specifically, I had to let it go of it all. Like, I let it go of it all. I walked away from family. I walked away from workplaces. I walked away from religious groups. I walked away from everything. I walked away from everything. And that left me with me. That left me with me. And I had to come out of her, of whatever it was that I had created before, because I wasn't living in my truth. That was the key, though. That is the key. I had never lived in my truth before. Yeah. So anything prior to this wasn't really me. It wasn't real to my authentic self. It wasn't real to my core. I had a mask. I had a script for my family. I had a script for work. I had a script for church. I had a script. You could ask me, are you okay? Internally, I would probably say yes and believe it that I was okay, and I wasn't. I would believe I was okay, but I wasn't okay. Does that make sense? And I would lie to myself saying that I was okay, but I wasn't. I was not in my truth. Yeah. So as I was healing, I was, um, what is that called? Yeah, I was called to start making videos and speak my truth, tell my story, right? And so it was the purpose of that was for me to be held accountable to my truth, for me to be in my truth and tell my story and speak about what happened and just say it. It wasn't because I wanted to seek blame or to put anybody on blast. I was doing it, one, because I needed to be obedient, and two, the same way that I went through that, many other people had gone through that, right? And so, although I wasn't healed completely from that yet, I was still called to talk about it, to just tell my story, right? And then with me, it was like my karmic family was part of a demonic cult type of thing. Like, I was placed into a demonic bloodline. And so there was a bigger purpose to that. And so today, when we're seeing all of these things coming out in the news about these demonic practices, right? A lot of the things that I spoke about earlier on, and even I kept going with the trajectory, a lot of people didn't believe in, right? And so now there's evidence of it coming out, right? Like that these things actually exist, and that people do still do sacrifices and all that stuff, right? And so for me, I was also supposed to be a sacrifice. But it turned out that I had a purpose with God. There's a group of people who are not to be touched in a certain way. And whatever they gone through before, that was just for training purposes, right? And so that gave me a lot of comfort. And it brought me closer to forgiveness, because I understood the purpose of it. I understood why the pain. I understood why the abuse. I understood why the molestation. I understood why a lot of these people didn't believe in God, right? And so me not being able to be sacrificed, it's allowing these people to be able to see, hey, there's really a God. Hello. Type of scenarios. I'm like, okay, well, now they're believers. Yay. It was all worth it. Was it like horrible? It was, right? But it also, with me telling my story, when people who have gone through things like myself come across it, you're able to heal. You're able to choose to forgive, and identifying the spirits that were operating through these people. I sound like a broken record, but this is what works. We identify the spirits that were operating through these diabolical people, right? We strip the person from the spirit. We forgive the person, for they know not what they do, because they were operating through these spirits. And we're not able to see these spirits with our physical eyes, but we can see it through the actions, right? Because people who molest other people are possessed and sick, and it's a form of energy harvesting, right? And so we don't affiliate with the diabolical. And so sometimes that means that we just forgive and let go and move on, right? And we don't pass judgment, because we understand that our hearts needs to be as light as a feather in order for us to continue in our ascension process. That's another one for me, because in order for me to continue my awakening process, my awakening journey into ascend, you have to forgive. You can't be holding to no resentments and things like that, or hate, none of that. You have to literally forgive in order to ascend. Your heart needs to be as light as a feather. And so, I had to do the work, and things would continue to repeat itself until I was able to ascend. So I hope this helped. I'll be back with more.